Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you're watching. Today, I want to talk to you about the three ways that changing will hurt your relationship. There is literally three ways that if you change this way, I guarantee you it'll hurt your relationship. So number one, if you're constantly changing relationships, that will hurt you because you're constantly going from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship with never committing to that. And it's a habit. I believe it is a habit of quitting and starting. It could be even in your business or in your work that you keep changing jobs left or right. That's caused by, again, a habit. The second thing, that type of changing that will hurt your relationship, the compulsive changing. When you're compulsively changing, that means you're changing without thinking. You're just, hey, this is the shining object. So you're in a relationship, then you look at somewhere else and you go, whoa, maybe I could have this person. Maybe I could have this. And then all of a sudden you make a rational decision based on something that you're going through, not really being conscious about it, and you're compulsively shifting. And that same thing for when you're committed to something or a business or whatnot, and you see different things happening and, I want to jump on this and create this other experience. And what's happening is you're not literally, again, the word is committed to that one present relationship or one present situation. So you're compulsively shifting and changing, and you're led by your emotion to do something. You're led by the passion of the moment. So that could destroy your relationship. And lastly, it's comparing and changing. Comparing and changing is when you do make some changes, but what you do is you start to compare yourself to other people, or how fast other people are changing versus how fast you're changing. So the whole comparing and changing, the way to change to compare to change, or I see these other people, therefore I'm going to change myself so I can be like them. You'll never get there. Because when you get there, you're going to see that their changes is their change. The way you change, what's happening in you might have been a whole completely different reason for you to shift and be in that position. And the worst thing about all this thing, what it creates when you are comparing and changing, it creates criticalness, it creates judgment, it creates competition as well. Because you're comparing yourself to someone else, so therefore you can change. So how can we shift that? How can we actually have a different mindset when it comes to changing that will actually help our relationship? The very first thing I think you heard me say is commit. And here's the thing, and I'm not saying if you're in a dysfunctional relationship, you're going to commit to it, but I do want you to commit to the present, commit to what is happening, because if you're constantly changing, you're not learning anything. You're not being present with what's actually happening, and you're not learning from the last relationship. Whenever I commit to something, I got to look at the reality of it. I got to count the cost and see, really, do I actually want this relationship? Why did I even commit to this thing? You know what I mean? What was my commitment in the first place? And then you could course correct. So commit to the present, the now within the relationship. That's the first thing. The second thing is actually consider before you change. Consider before you make changes. A lot of times, again, we're compulsively changing, but if you're able to consider before you make any changes, rational changes, and when I say whenever you're grieving is the worst time to make a change, because you're not really thinking. You're going through some grief, you're not really thinking. So consider, which means you count the cost before you make something happen. You think through it. Consider what is happening. Consider the situation. Consider how you feel about it. Because if you're not considering, you're compulsively behaving. You're compulsively making decisions. And that doesn't change anything. Okay. Lastly, again, is when you're in the relationship, when you're in there and then you want to shift, you want to see some changes happening, but yet you may not see it, or you're compulsively changing, you're not committing to it. The thing to do is be curious about the changes that are currently happening in you and in them. So you got to start being curious, okay? What is going on? Or the lack of changes that are happening. Become more curious about what's happening in you. And I think curiosity it helps you to not be so judgmental about the other person. And it helps you to just be more wanting to find out more. It's a gentle way of approaching a situation versus, man, I don't like the way they are. I don't like this about them. I don't like they always do this. Be curious about, okay, what is it that I need to learn within this relationship? And secondly, what is it that they are trying to communicate with me? See, curiosity just brings down the whole need to change. You need to change. You need to do this thing. Make sure you're committed to the present, committed to what you're feeling. Commit to not what you're feeling per se, but commit to what is happening around you. Commit to the present. Commit to being present-minded, right, in a relationship. And then consider changing, and don't be just compulsively shifting and changing. Consider the thing that happens when you do change. Consider the bad things that happen when you don't change. Consider everything, and then be curious about the changes that are happening in you, the changes that are happening around you, and the changes that's trying to happen in you and the other person as well. Well, thank you so much for watching my videos. Please do subscribe if you like the video, and please share it. And also click on the bell button there so you can be notified with any new videos that I come out with. Thank you.